Welcome to Biz Dev Live. This is the Biz D with the C. I am so excited to bring you the man, the myth, the legend, Rick Gabrielly. He is my gratitude mentor. He is the person I most want to be like when it comes time in a meeting to go around the room and say thank yous. He is somebody that is awesome to speak with. We're going to get into all this and more, all the businesses that he's involved with, all the things that he's doing right after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Rick Gabrielly is a passionate husband, father, author, and educationalist. Rick has been helping others gain awareness, access deeper learning experiences, and find life-changing opportunities for over 34 years. Through the power of connection, he's been able to help individuals and families around the world get healthy and enjoy a simpler life at home and at work. Without further ado, I want to introduce everybody to the man, Rick Gabrielly. Thanks for being on the show.
Cam, thanks for having me. How can I not be pumped up after that intro and that song, that theme song? I love it. I mean, this is like major leagues right here, man. I feel like I'm on network TV, man. So I got to hand it to you, brother. Thank you.
Trying to up the game every day. And to that point, tell us what you're doing right now. We have a new book. You had written a previous book on marriage and finances, and now we have the currency of connection. Talk to us about that and all the other things that you're currently right now doing.
Well, I appreciate it, Cam. Thank you. And, this latest book has been so much fun. It was actually born about 5 years ago. When we finished the other book in 2014, we were talking about what's the next thing? And everybody that saw that first book was talking about, what's your next book? Are you writing your next book? So for years, that one came out in Thanksgiving of 2014. So it's actually 6 years ago. Everyone's been asking, what's the next book? When is the next book coming out? And we were in the marriage space at that time. So I was thinking, what am I going to put out next that's going to be able to, maybe transition us to a different audience or be able to touch more people? And, when the pandemic hit, we had so much stuff, so much content, and Carol and I wanted to talk about ways to combat isolation. And the currency of connection just came to us. We're big on currency, and so the word connection, really was born out of the pandemic.
Absolutely, and I know that you have the is it dental spa? Is that the correct way to refer to it? So I know you got that going on. I know you're the president of the LaGrange chapter. I want to round it out just to kind of give people a picture of what you kind of currently have on your workload. Because when you announced the new book, I was like, how does he have the time to get this stuff done? It's amazing.
Well, actually, yeah. So my master networks involvement, which is so important. I'm actually area director of LaGrange, New Paltz, and Long Island. Paul Akins is the president of that chapter. So I'm not a chapter president. I'm an area director. I kind of oversee and help start the chapters, foster leadership and
no disrespect to Paul Akins. He's great. I want to step on his toes.
Nope, just want to make that correction. So I bring people together. My responsibility is to really promote the culture of master networks. And, it's done so much for us, not only before, but during this pandemic. And we're so grateful, to what Chaz created and what Tina perpetuates every day in this region and around the country. So, so the dental spa is something that my sister and brother-in-law and I created. They got married 25 years ago. I was a Wall Street recruiter. I saw a need for a change in the dental business, jumped in there. Next thing you know, we have a dental spa and wellness center, which has really been like our wellness playground for the past 25 years. which kind of brought us into, the health and wellness arena, where we manage a medical device practice called the Beamer. So it's an in-home passive therapy. So we have our hands in the sale of a product. And then we're actually, just kind of helping people find a better way in their own, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial wellness, at home and at work.
So right. So we got the book, we got the Beamer, we got the dental spa, we got all these activities that you're doing around networking. And you're not just out there jumping on calls, networking. You're actually taking responsibility. So you got a lot on your plate. I think that takes a lot of passion, a lot of organization, a lot of focus. So talk to us about how you got passionate about doing all these things. I love the backstory about your family getting involved in the dental spa and how you got into it. But sort of tell us, I think it takes a little bit something special happening in your life to sort of push you to be this outgoing, to follow through, get the book done, be pushed to excel. I know, in the run-up to this, one of the big messages you want to get out today is one person can make a difference. Yeah. You can learn that. So how did you learn that?
Well, it's a great question, Cam, and it's really the thing that drives me. So if you ever, if you can imagine needing fuel and going to the gas station, or if you have a Tesla, just plugging in and getting your fuel. I got my fuel at a very young age. My dad was a driver, and he was a guy who was just out there. He owned an auto body shop. He was an artist. He was a creative genius. He was a business and entrepreneurial genius. No college education, didn't even finish high school, built himself up. And, I was just idolizing this guy and everything he did. So I wanted to follow in his footsteps. So one person made a difference in my life. And then in 1981, he died unexpectedly on a Thursday, August 6th, at about 11 o'clock at night. And I was 19, my first year of college. And that was like such a punch at that time, because I had no roadmap. My GPS was gone. So, he was kind of like the director, and I was just, playing my instrument. All of a sudden, no more music. So I'll take a step back a couple of years. So that was freshman year of college. So let's fast forward. Let's reverse back a bit to biology class in, I think it was 10th grade of high school. I'm in this class with this teacher, Noel Haskell. And class is tough. I'm not paying attention. I'm talking. I'm one of those guys who talks in class. So I'm following the work, but I'm just really not paying attention. So it's almost the end of the year. And my guidance counselor says to me, I think you're going to fail biology. Mr. Haskell said, you're going to fail biology. So you better, make a decision right now. I think you should drop the class. So I said, all right, I'll drop it. And she said, you can just take it next year. So next year rolls around. I go in her office and she says, there was only two teachers, Noel Haskell and Miss Betty Frame. You're going to take Miss Frame for bio, right? And I said, no, you know what? I'm going to take Mr. Haskell again. What? Why would you take Mr. Haskell again? You had a horrible time in that class. I said, you know what? I just have a feeling that I should do it again. I want to prove to him, and, I want to take him again. So I take him, she signs me up. First day I walk into class, he's standing by the doorway like this, and he's looking at me. And I walk in and he's like, Mr. Gabrielly. And I said, hey, Mr. Haskell. He's like, back for a second try, huh? So I sit down, and I tell you, the bond that we formed at that moment, I knew that he just thought, this kid, has got some guts to really come back and take me again. Long story short, we had the best time. I was like a student teacher. I knew the material cold. I apprenticed all the other students that were a year younger. It was like nirvana. Ace, the regents, had a great time with him. We become fast friends. Fast forward a little bit now. Go back to August 6th, 81. So again, one person can make a difference. My father dies. I'm lost. I am in college. I'm kind of going off the track a little bit. Drugs and alcohol, the whole bit. I'm just lost. I'm depressed. I'm isolated, right? So no connection. I'm disconnected from my fuel. So about, I think, 4 years into this, right? Just horrible, addiction, the whole bit. It's just, I don't know don't know where to turn. I get a letter in the mail. It's like 4:00 in the morning. I open up this letter. I could see on the outside, I could see it's Noel Haskell's handwriting. We call him Uncle Booksy. I open up this letter and I basically start reading this letter. And, I could tell it took him a long time and a couple different, black ink, blue ink. It took him a while to write it. I'm reading this letter and it says basically, I know you're struggling. I hear from some of the guys that you're having a problem. I am willing to help you, whatever it takes. There's a place over here where I live, I'll take care of everything, just want you to get the help you need. Cam, I closed the letter, put it back in the envelope, never touched another drug, never got high again, never did anything. A switch flipped in my heart. And I remember thinking, if this guy cares about me this much, this is a high school biology teacher. Now, again, we did have a unique circumstance.
Yeah.
It'd take him twice. So that bond, I did not know it at the time, but I planted the seed that second time around, as he did. And something happened, and he just really decided this kid's life is worth saving. And he wrote that letter, and he took a big risk because I might have tuned him out like I tuned everybody else out. But I put that letter back in the envelope and I put it down, and that was my first step toward changing my life. If you want to call it recovery, whatever. If it was divine intervention, both. Maybe my father was at work, right? I do.
So let me just recap here, because I think this is amazing, and I love the focus on a teacher, because my passion in life is education, and I love the fact that this educator had such an impact on your life. I love the resilience that you displayed in terms of taking that class again with Mr. Haskell, and the fact that he came back to play such an amazing difference in your life. Your father passes away. You're going off the deep end. I think for most of us of a certain age, we've been through some kind of trial and tribulation in our life. There's been some moment where I've been fairly lucky that my stuff was fairly young and I didn't go too far off the deep end before it was like, oh man, I gotta do better, right? What did you do? Now you got this letter. You're saying what became your fuel?
Well, I believed so much that he valued me, and what was I struggling with at that time? I did not have the connection to anybody else. As much as there were other people in my life who loved me and valued me, and they tried to talk to me, I would not listen. I did not hear it. I was on a destruction. I was on a path to destruction. So somehow that message that he sent got through to me. And I said, if this guy thinks this much of me, I must be valuable. I must be important. Maybe I can make a difference in the world. He did. And, I just, I started getting around the right people. I came clean. I said, listen, I can't, I have no control over this. I do think that there was some divine intervention, because I was driven to, get back to my former self. I started to feel like my father was available in my life again in some ways, maybe on a more spiritual level. But a switch flipped that day, Cam, in my mind and in my heart, and I was just driven. About a year later, I met Carol, my wife, who most of you know. And that really, I started to think about life with another person. And again, the life-saving power of connection. So, at first my dad was like my anchor. And then when he was gone, I didn't feel like I had anything. Then Noel, who we nicknamed Uncle Booksy because of books, and, Booksy, so we call him Booksy. He was that guy. So, was he an angel? Was he just that guy at that particular moment? So he was there for me in a big way. And, here's what's interesting about it. I never said anything to him. So I meet Carol. I'm going to fast forward now in the story about maybe 10, 11 years. We are down at his beach house in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. And him and I are body surfing. And we're in the waves, and I catch this amazing wave, and I'm hooping it up. I go sliding into the sand, and I look back, and he is floating face down in the ocean. So I swim out to him. I grab him, and he was a big man, about 6'3", 200 pounds. I pick him up and I carry him into the shore, and I put him down on the sand, and he's paralyzed. He hit his head on a sandbar, and he had an arthritic spine, so his spine got jolted, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. Paramedics come, they pushed water out of his lungs, put him on a board, bring him to the hospital, and a couple hours later we're sitting there, and he's he can't communicate, and I'm holding his hand, and I grab his hand and I look into his eyes, and he leans. He's got one of those neck braces on. He leans and looks at me, and I can see a tear coming down his face, and I say to him, "Now we're even. You saved my life. I just saved yours." And tears start streaming down both our faces. And to just fast forward, he made a full recovery. He went and got a secret surgery from the doctor who fixed Dennis Bird from the New York Jets. Didn't tell anybody about it because it was life-threatening. Got a surgery. He lived for about, I think it was 20 years longer. He was 86 when he passed about 5 years ago. And, that was the first and last time we ever talked about that incident, and that he saved my life. But a few years back, my friend, Dr. Genevieve Cadell from New Hampshire, she interviewed me, and this is the first time I really told this story in public. And we titled that interview "The Life-Saving Power of Connection," and that really fueled a lot of this work in this current book, and where we tell that story. But what we really want to illustrate is that one person can make a difference. Sometimes it's them, but sometimes it's you. And that difference can be saving a life. First, it can be yours, and then it can be the next person. So true story of Pay It Forward. It was completely by chance or by accident. So did he save my life so that I could save his someday? So in effect, we both saved each other.
Yeah, that kind of connection is amazing. Talk to me a little bit about the educational journey. I want to hit the biz dev end of this because I think that story is amazingly powerful and speaks volumes about not only the power of connection, but the importance of making like real tangible relationships with those connections, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your education, what you got involved with. Obviously, your connection with Carol is important. Your co-author on this new book, your partner in life. But talk to me about some of the things that you did to sort of get your foundation as you move towards this amazing entrepreneur journey that you've had.
Even though I was struggling during college, I graduated Iona College. My grades were awesome. I was actually accepted to law school. I decided not to go. I wanted to be in sales. I took over our family business first, and then when I met Carol, transitioned to sales.
What was the family business?
The family business was an auto body shop.
Okay.
Yep. And my father really never wanted me to be in that. He wanted me to be a college guy, and having not graduated himself, he wanted me to be, the first college graduate in our family, which I was. And to me, it was really more about life. I wanted to learn from life. I'd already been on the street, so I knew what that looked like, and I knew it was a dark place, but it actually did give me a lot of lessons. So I was bent on trying to reach other people, and so it all throughout my career, I wanted to mentor people, not only in sales and in the work, but I wanted to mentor people on what it looked like to make great connections. So just a short story: when I was in sales, my bosses were very numbers driven, and I was very relationship driven. So I start this new job in sales. I'm selling copier and fax machines, and I'm learning about quotas and numbers and how much work you have to do to get what. And so I start building relationships. So one night, one of my customers runs out of toner in their copier machine. So I asked my boss, I said, "Hey boss, so-and-so ran out of toner. I want to bring it down there, 6 o'clock. You don't have to bring the toner. Don't bring toner. Let service bring it tomorrow, or we'll ship it out. They'll get it in a couple of days." I said, "But they're out of toner." "You know what? Don't worry about it. That's not your job. Your job is to sell. Don't worry about service. We got a service department for that. I said, okay. So I go in the back, I get the toner, put it in my car. I don't say anything. I go down there. I deliver the toner that night. Next day, customer calls up. Hey, listen, I just want to talk to the vice president. Just want to say that Rick brought toner to us at 6:30 at night. Thought that was so special. We've been working with your company for years. This is the first time we ever felt like somebody cared. We want to order 5 more copy machines from Rick. Okay, that's all I needed to know. So now I start doing all this service and relationship-oriented stuff. So within a year, I'm 365% of quota in a company where most guys are 105, 110 if they're lucky, some below quota. So anyway, I win Salesman of the Year, Salesman of the Month, this whole thing, become driven by support and service and really building these relationships. I never changed it. When I was in advertising on Wall Street, I was always thinking about serving people. No different in my, the dental business. We created a place to serve phobic patients. In the Beamer business, we're helping people with their health on a passive, natural level. Everything I do for master networks, I do to promote the region, the chapters, and the individuals. Bringing on new people is my favorite thing. And so I never forgot what Noel did for me, what Booksy did for me. He supported me. I never forgot. So it's all about educating. It's all about educating people that there is a different way to do it. I believe in bringing love to business. A lot of people cringe when I say that, but it's one of the main themes of my service is to bring love to a world that sometimes doesn't acknowledge it. We don't have enough of it. It's not a hippie mantra. This works. When we bring love, we actually see people change. So, all about educating. And
I love it. I want to shout out some of the people watching because I love this story. I want to give a shout out to Ian Lambaga, Aby Gabor, Liz Gabor, Luanda Prado, Olivia Lee Delamonica, sorry. Who else we got here? Of course, your wife Carol is checking in and being active in the chat. Thank you for that. One of the things that I appreciate about you is you garner amazing following. One of the things that is really special is the level of gratitude. I want to get into that kind of piece of it, this heart aspect of what you do. So many people, especially in the business world, are going to talk about, well, you got to be hard. You got to be, when it comes to profits, you got to be driven, you got to make cuts, you got to, do the right thing for the business. And I appreciate, as an entrepreneur and a business owner over the last 9 years, I appreciate very much the stance of you need to make profit in your business. You need to design your business in such a way that you are making money, so that not only are you yourself profitable within the business, but so that the business can grow and you can do some of the hard things that you want to do for employees and staff and even for customers, right? If I'm charging you a razor thin percentage on what I'm sending you, I can't send you extras and still make money, right? So you have to think about like the end product, the end experience. If I want to run the toner down on a regular basis and provide that less, I got to build that pricing into the system. So having that business acumen to understand both ends of it. But this idea of, taking care of the customer, while not a new idea, sometimes in a crowded workplace can be the difference between, a business being successful and not, right? And I love that piece of it. I love the fact that you've had success with that and that you're a true servant leader. We're getting some of that in the comments, and I appreciate that. Talk to me about your ability with this gratitude thing, because it's one of the things that I most admire, and I'm looking forward to all the folks that are watching this, questions, things that we can talk about in terms of they're interested in what you do and how you've done it. But one of the things that is most pressing to me is how you're able to stay on task. We're in lots of master network meetings together. You're obviously participating in other things, but your ability to sort of go down the list and have gratitude for so many people and keep that top of mind.
Well, there's a sign in our living room, and it says, "We interrupt this family for baseball season." And so what you put first is the thing that you'll be best known for. So if you lead with love and you lead with gratitude, you'll be best known for that. So there are times when this is what life looks like, right? It looks like a heart wave. No accident. It is filled with ups and downs. But when you decide what you bring first into the world, and so, let's just use a meeting, for example. When I come to a Master Networks meeting, or any meeting, for example, I could be in a meeting in a boardroom. I've been in many meetings in boardrooms. I've been in meetings on Wall Street. I've been in meetings where titans of business are showing up in the meeting. If you're focused on the portfolio in front of you and the numbers in it, or the report, or the presentation, or the slide, or coming across in a certain way, or impressing someone, or being dressed perfectly, that's going to come out. If you're in that room to find out how you can connect with the people, and you believe that that's the best way to serve and do the most business and the highest vibration business, that's going to be obvious. Not to say that when I go into a room, I'm going to try to be Gandhi and I'm going to be wearing white cloths and stuff like that and sitting in lotus position, but it's really close to that. And, if you can put that mindset first, you're not going to be stressed anymore. You're not going to be worried about the outcome or attached to it. You're not going to be struggling to find your words. You're not going to need to prepare like it's the last presentation you're ever going to make, and the outcome and somebody buying something or paying a lot of money or investing or believing in you is so necessary anymore. So people are going to feel that. And guess what? They're going to be more comfortable themselves, and then they're going to be able to do their best work. They're going to be able to vibrate the highest. I don't even have a problem telling people, hey, listen, we're all in this room today. We're all buttoned up. We're all trying to figure out how to get something to happen, make something magical happen, pay our bills, pay our staff, create amazing things in the world. But I can tell you, people, we can do it from a more relaxed, more loving place, and it's going to feel good, and the results will come. So I've proven it. I'm going to be 59. Let me tell you, Cam, I've done it both ways. When I first got into sales, I was a shark just like all the rest. I was taught this is the only thing that matters, numbers, quota, whatever. And I proved that it doesn't have to be that way. I got into medicine, built a practice that was, I don't know, I think it was probably like about $150,000, $200,000 practice when my sister met my brother-in-law back in, that's 25 years ago now. So what is that, 1995? That's almost a $2 million practice right now. So I can tell you, we do the numbers. Production, at the end of 2019 was never better. We had our record year in 2019, a record month in January before the pandemic and the governor shut us down, but we're back trying to, rebuild. Our Beamer business exploded during the pandemic, had a new product launch in June. We sold more Beamers than we have ever, in 4.5 years in the business at the worst possible time in history for sales and for connection. We couldn't meet people in person anymore. We were doing Zoom demos and people were buying the product. So, book sales, the sales of my first book and my second book have exploded since this third book came out. So I can tell you right from your dining room table, right from your kitchen, you can do this work. You can do it from your car. Doesn't matter where you are. It matters who you are and what you bring to other people. So, whenever I meet somebody new and they want to, come into our business or come into our network or whatever, I always ask them, what are you going to bring? What are you going to bring? Are you going to bring love and guidance and trust and education? Are you going to teach us, or are you going to ask us to buy something? If you teach us and you educate us, we'll buy everything. If you just try to sell us, we're just going to be walking, we'll walk right past you.
Yeah, I got two things. One, just a note on that, because I think I just had a response. Most of the time somebody comes with a sales thing on LinkedIn and I just kind of hit the ignore button. But occasionally I'm like, all right, this sort of like borderline. They look like they're coming across. Let me give some advice. I don't expect I'll hear back on a lot of them. Don't necessarily do, but the idea of like, hey, let's connect first before you start, telling me what to buy.
Mhm.
I also find that it's interesting that so many people are in the marketplace that'll say, hey, we want to sell you X, Y, and Z. And then I'm looking at their profile. It doesn't look like they're using what they're selling, or at least the nuance to what they're doing isn't there. And you're sort of saying, man, like if you are leading with love, if you're leading with appreciation, if you're leading with connection, it would leave a lot of room for us to collaborate, for me to make you better, for you to make me better, and for us to move forward. But approaching it from that angle doesn't leave a lot of room for us to actually go anywhere, and that's tough. That's a hard way to make a connection. So I think that's great advice for people to bring the value and create that connection there. So that leads into another piece of the conversation. You got a lot on your plate. You're able to organize it. You've built these profitable businesses. What has been the secret to success in terms of your organization? I don't want to get into too much. I mean, I got questions on, the development process for you as you look at different opportunities, but how do you organize your life and delegate responsibility? How much are you doing yourself? How much are you able to sort of put on other people that are working with you?
It's a great question, and it's an ongoing process. So I do not have all the answers to that. I have some good answers. I have some case studies. I have some failures. I can tell you that the one constant is that I love what I'm doing every day, and I do what I love. So it's kind of like both. So if you are in a job, if you are in a company, if you are working in something that you don't think you really love, learn to love it, because we can't always do what we love, and we can't always love what we do, but it's a goal. So you're trying to get there. So we all have to do some work every day to, make something happen. So realize we're all the same. So everyone who's listening and everyone who's watching this, I'm just like you. So there's no difference between us. The only difference might be that I believed in myself a little bit more. I believed in the people around me. I tried to see people as they could be. But as far as organization, there are days when I have zero organization. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope to make the right calls today. I hope to, get all the things done. Do I miss an appointment? Sure. Do I forget about something in my schedule? Sure. Is Carol saying to me, oh my God, it's 10:15. Did you have at 10 o'clock? And I say, yes. So I missed it. So
we had a comment, Jane, who's watching. Thanks for joining in. And Elaine, thanks for jumping in. But Jane was saying Carol is his secret to success. And I mentioned that because I probably,
that's one of them.
You don't have any problem admitting that.
Yeah. And being successfully married means finding, the second book was about uncovering the hidden currency of marriage. So me finding out what Carol's gifts were was more for me than anything else, because I wanted to know where the gold was in my relationship. I mean, that's one of my mantras is, if you have a partner, find out what they're good at and then really use that. It's going to make your marriage or relationship, this is business and personal. Your relationships are going to be better if you find out what the people around you do well. Don't worry about what they do wrong. If you have a staff, stop worrying about what they don't do right. You don't do everything right. Find out what they do right and use that. Uncover the hidden currency, right? So what I say is uncover, cultivate, and then celebrate the gifts in other people and yourself.
So, I mean, going back to sort of the building the organization, so we'll step in on the development question here. And for everybody watching, I'd love to hear your questions as well. I love this when it's interactive. But the idea that you're finding the best in people. So how have you applied that to the organizations as you're building them? I'm also curious, like with some of the other things that you're doing, area director, with them, tell me, how much of it, I don't know if you work with, because, one of the things that I've recently started getting into, especially with the world the way it is right now, and not everybody able to, talking to virtual assistants and starting to bring that into my practice and all that kind of stuff. So talk to us about some of the ways that you're able to bring people, onboard people, and find the best in them, and figure out what you can get off your plate.
This is a big time topic, and we talk about it every day, because we always have to find people who can do the things either that we can't do, won't do, don't want to do, or are not good at. So, in my case, that's a lot of stuff. So you have to find people who you can partner with. So, some people you're going to have a collaborative partnership with, some you're going to have a legal partnership with, some you're going to find, one of the greatest things, again, to talk about master networks. We have, over 400 people right here in the regions around us, and then another 3,000 nationally, plus everyone that they know. Just think about that. That's millions of people available to us with just a phone call, a quick message. That's why showing up is so important every day, being there to plant those seeds and to build those relationships. Because when you have someone you can call and say, hey, brother, hey, sister, do you know someone who does whatever? And they always say, yes, I do, or I know someone who does. And so finding those people, take a chance on them, ask them what they do, get to know them, look at their work, ask them to show it to you, and then look at it with them and say, well, this is exactly what I need, or this is not what I need, but maybe you know someone who can do it. Be honest also. You don't have to hire everybody you meet. You don't have to work with everybody who asks you. But you do have to find people. So I was a lone ranger for maybe 25 of the last 34 years, trying to do everything myself, becoming really good at a lot of stuff, but not great enough to make the kind of impact I wanted to. I did a lot of stuff, but I'm becoming more effective. I have a great quote. I'll share this. This is a great time to share this quote. When I was young, I did everything and accomplished nothing. In the middle of my life, I did less and accomplished more, all with the hopes that someday I would do nothing and accomplish everything.
That doing nothing thing, that's something too.
And you know what? I'm getting closer every day, Cam.
I love it. One of the things that sort of changed my life was reading the book 4 Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss.
Yeah.
He, and some people look at the title of that book and just read the headline and understand, oh, wait, I'm only going to work 4 hours, which is pretty much like getting down to that, like I'm doing nothing and everybody else is doing everything. But it really talks about, getting down to a place where the busy work, the things that you really don't love doing, but just have to do, at some point you got to tie your shoelaces, right? You untie the shoelaces. There's certain things that, that.
Hang on.
Oh, I knew, I knew somebody was going to be thinking about
save your time, people. Don't tie your shoelaces anymore. You just saved 4 hours a week.
So depending on the style that you like, right?
There's eliminate the shoelaces. Hey, how much time you spend on your hair? How much time you spend on your uniform?
Well, I'll tell you, gel works wonders. I don't spend a lot of time on my hair.
For those of you out there who
you're saving money on haircuts, right? You're saving a lot of money.
Hair and uniforms. Eliminate it.
So this idea that you can use some of these kind of hacks, right? Don't want to tie your shoes, get loafers. There's so many things that you can do to limit the things that you don't want to do. So getting to that point in your life where you're doing more of what you love, right? You free up your time. So, one of the things that was a great sort of revelation for me is I love talking to people. I love talking business development. I love education. So I've spent the last 9 years, putting that into my business, mentoring people that maybe never ever thought, coming in for a waiter or bartender or chef job that, they were coming in for mentorship, but I've certainly put that into, because that's what I enjoy most. Right. But the idea that, I get to do something that I love and, potentially make a lot of money from it, that is wonderful. Right. So, creating that situation where more of what you're doing is what you would be doing if you had the riches and all that kind of stuff. That's where I think, we're trying to go. The point being with all this, right, and what I really want you to kind of talk about is how do you suggest somebody that, is in that grind mode right now, how to speed up that process, or at the very least, make sure that they're not wasting time in the run-up?
This is a great topic and something that I love to talk about. And so I'm going to add to what you just said. Doing what you love is only possible if you begin to love what you do. So if you are doing something right now that you feel is a grind, because I could give you so many stories about my grind and how many times I grind and when I grind and how I grind, and it doesn't end. So the grinding doesn't end, people. It's the way you look at how, when, what you grind that changes. So on the way to loving what you do, you have to, or doing what you love, you have to love what you're doing right now. So whatever job you're in today, if you're thinking, I'm going to quit this job, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, I want to be just like Cameron, I want to be just like Rick. And there's no difference between working in that job and being an entrepreneur, except I don't get a paycheck. You might still be getting one. So while you're getting one, figure this part out. You got to love what you do every day to get to the point where you get to do what you love. And you'll find out that they're very similar. It's just you're changing your attitude. Wayne Dyer was one of my mentors before he passed on to be in another state so that he could mentor from above. This is the same thing every day. You do the same thing. You're a farmer. If you're doing it right, you're planting a seed, never quitting. I'm reading Seth Godin's book right now, The Practice. What a terrific study in just what we're talking about. So processes, you can get them, but you still got to do the grind. If you change jobs, change locations, work alone, work with a team, you still got to do the grind. It doesn't matter. But whatever you like, let's say you like coffee. So start grinding coffee beans and you'll smell the beautiful aroma of that grind. And that will fuel you. Find somebody to connect with. Find somebody who is doing something that just seems, normal. And you said, how can I speed up the grind, Cam? Don't try to speed it up. Try to slow it down. If you're doing something you don't like, slow it down a bit. The rush is part of the challenge. You don't need to rush it. Take your time. It's all about education. We're learning every day, every moment. So, take time. Give thanks. If you have a job, if you have a grind, be thankful for it right now, because so many people have had the grind taken away from them this year.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I love Avi's comment, no grind, no action, no results, right? Really gets down to it. And this idea of finding the thing to be grateful for, shout out to Liz Gabor, because I think, this is a big part of what she does on a daily basis. But this idea, and certainly for folks that, are dealing with a difficult year, it hasn't been easy for my family, but I know so many families, folks that, have family working in hospitals. Imagine right now, having been through this last year, which has been pretty challenging for anybody, that is on the front line, especially in the healthcare segment of the world. And we're going right back into it as we enter this winter, which is a little bit harder. The infection spreads indoors. We're dealing with the cold weather. And so, people dealing with challenging times, having family members doing this in the depths, maybe you're out of luck, out of business. Maybe it's just a challenging year and your job is your job and you just, don't love it. But finding the things to be thankful for. I know for myself, even though I've sort of fallen into and been fairly lucky with Toth event staffing, even though we've lost, 99% of the business, we got a PPP loan, we're all right. I know people are dealing with difficult things. Part of the way I sort of guard my happiness is always understanding that I have it so much better than so many people by the luck of where I was born.
Yeah.
All these things that come together. I know how lucky I am, and I can appreciate that. Where other people are looking at like I don't have what they have, and I'm just gonna forgive me for talking a little bit, but I saw something from Gary V the other day, and he's got a net worth of like 200 million, and he was talking about how he made his money. And just to go back to you planting seeds right now, it's always the right time to be planting seeds and to plant them consistently, so that gratitude, that practice of it builds up every day. I think about your story and how you told us that over the last 45 minutes, but that idea that planting that seed and building that, it grows. So if you're not investing in the stock market, look at, companies that in your heart of hearts are going to be around for 10 years and put that money in there, and don't think about it. It's going to grow. The stock market will go up and down. I'm sure we're due for some kind of big drop off. The folks that are ready to invest in things that are great value, they're going to reap the rewards of what they sow, right? And like that in all things. And just to bring why I brought Gary into it, he invested in things, lots of things early. And he was talking about how he makes his money, which is always interesting when you get somebody that, not everybody that's watching this knows who Gary Vee is, but, he's a big guy on social media. But he talked about how he's made his money, and he doesn't say like the main thing that he's grinding on every day, that's what has made his money. He's made his money on the investments. He's made his money on the things that he's investing your time in. So if you invest your time in building yourself, you invest time and money in things that are going to do well, and then you also have your grind, like you are set up for success in so many ways. And I think that's such an amazing message that I'm taking. I'm certainly taking it in from your story, and I wanted to bring it out and sort of relate it to the world a little bit too. I'd love you to add your 2 cents on that as well.
Well, I think that the best part about this is that as we get older, sometimes we appreciate everything and the smaller things. So if you're younger and you're watching this and you're in a hurry, I don't know how to speed it up. I think you got to slow it down and just say, how can I really, sit down in this and not rush it? Because you're going to learn more if you don't run through life. Just take a stroll through it and just appreciate what's going on. There's a great quote: "Be happy with what you have on the way to what you want."
Yeah,
it's a nice way to want more without feeling the pressure of measurement and comparison. I would say one of the deadliest things out there is comparing yourself to somebody else. My goal and my wish for you today would be to be the best version of you. How can you become the best you? And how can you be more like you today? So if I could leave you with a message, be more like you. If you're watching me and you're saying, oh, wow, Rick's, done this and this and that. But as I get older, I want to be more like me. The more I can be like me, the more I can vibrate high enough to bring you what you need. I'm here to give education. I'm here to give love. I'm here to help people realize we're all the same. Every single person is the same. They all want the same things. We're all at different levels. I use this analogy, Cam, of a staircase. So imagine there's a huge staircase, and I'm on the second step, and you're on the first step. I'm reaching down right now to help pull you up to the step that I'm on. I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to go up to the next step, but I'm going to then reach back and bring you up to the next step. It's just one step at a time. Life is just a series of going up to the next step, but then bringing your people up to that step with you, but not staying there. Don't quit. Keep going. Step up. Anyone can take one step. And if they can't make it on their own, they can get a hand and be brought up. I'll carry you up to the next step if you can't get there on your own. But I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to go up to the one above it.
I love that. And I really appreciate the message of like the slow down. I mean, I posted, this morning about time management, understanding that we can only focus on one thing at a time. And so if you're trying to do 5 things, trying to go fast, you're not really going fast. You're dividing your focus. And so back up, slow down, focus on this one thing, get it done, put it on the calendar, and you'll get it done. And then you get to do a lot more things because you got one thing done really well, and people will see that. People notice that. Talk to us about, because I mean, obviously you have a goal in mind. You're doing all these things. You're definitely have this goal. I know from what you said, to make the world a better place, to make the to touch and be a servant leader and do good things. Do you have things that you are working to that you want to put out there in the world in terms of, this is my goal to write this many books or to touch this many people? Or is there any kind of goals like that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I've got a new why during this pandemic, and this is interesting. I haven't said a lot about this, and I haven't told my my sister and brother-in-law this, but we always talk about the why in our meetings, and there's a lot of talk about your why. And I have 2 sons and a wife, and they both have girlfriends, and they're going to have families someday. So you would think that would be my why, my wife and my kids, and of course it is. But my sister and brother-in-law, who happen to own and run this dental practice, when they brought me into that business 25 years ago, I was just a kid. Of course, I had some sales experience and what have you, but they have helped us build such a beautiful foundation and a beautiful life for my family that they are part of my why now. So my brother-in-law, David, is 71. He's going to be 72. My sister's 68, going on 69. So they're kind of nearing retirement, talking about, maybe transitioning or selling their practice. Certainly it's been a tough year, and they are part of my why right now. So I want to make sure that they have an amazing second chapter in their own lives. So I wanted to commit my resources to thanking them and showing them that the investment they made in me and my journey was very valuable, and I want to pay returns. So I want to help my family. Our parents are not here anymore. Neither Carol nor I have our parents anymore. So, yes, we're focused on our kids and ourselves, but my sister and brother-in-law have been 100% responsible for my personal and professional success. So I want to thank them and give that back to them and help them as they transition, because that business and all that it's allowed us, the dental spa was a laboratory for me to go to every day and to do so many other things, to get into Beamer, to write books, to educate, to join this network, and to establish, so many different arms. We're starting a foundation right now called the Gabrielly Family Foundation, which is going to help kids in the right before and during high school to make proper transitions into whether they should go to college or go into work, and get some trade educations, because we've seen so many in our own family make the wrong decision. A lot of kids in America are going to college who should be working, and some of that money could go to kids who aren't getting to go to college because they don't have the resources. So our foundation is going to focus on that education. And, we have
it's so great that we got a chance to talk about this. One of the things, and I think I wanted to ask you a couple of different questions as you were talking, like lessons learned from the Scarsdale Dental Spa, kind of what you learned, because I know you're going through, like, you got so much out of it. So I'd love to hear some of that. But the foundation is amazing. As I've mentioned many times, my mission in life is education. I've been involved with a college and career preparatory institute for the last 24 years called soundbusiness.org. So I say publicly here, if I can help with that foundation, and that's part of my mission in life. So that's very exciting. I'm glad that you're doing that. Mention that again. Also mention the spa by name, so that folks are watching, they can know it and support it, and hit the post and follow the pages and all that. And if you would continue with that, with some of these concrete lessons that you've sort of taken with you into other businesses and guide other people with.
Well, to talk about Scarsdale Dental Spa and Wellness, when my sister and brother-in-law met, she was actually in the dental business for a while. He was in dentistry, and when they came together, they really were able to join forces and create something that didn't exist before. When I came in, I brought that visionary magic. She was process, he was clinical, and I brought that third piece, which was kind of like a view from above, a visionary view. How can this business be changed to best serve the audience? And we've developed a huge phobic following as a result of it. So we really changed the way dentistry was delivered. So we wanted to change how is this service delivered? And as a result, we built a model which was totally referral based, totally fee for service, purpose, passion, and then of course profit. And so, but I was able to learn so much from them and watch their diligence every day. Watch my brother-in-law go to work every day, see emergencies 10 o'clock at night and on Sundays, committed, dedicated. Watch my sister every day, planting seeds, plowing the field, not fearing, managing staff, paying people. We paid our staff the whole time during the pandemic. We were closed for 6 months. So those type of things, I watched them from start to finish, never shying away from doing the work, never shying away from the grind, no matter how bad or how good it was. They did the same thing every day. So that gave me that perseverance piece. I said, no matter what, I'm just going to keep doing the work every day, doing the practice. It's no accident that it's called a dental practice or a medical practice or a law practice. We keep doing that work. It's like farming. And so I was able to create a laboratory. They believed more in me than I even knew that I had the capabilities to. So they gave me a beautiful laboratory and fertile ground to create all these things. And then, the thing that we're doing now, so how can we give back? What is the piece that was missing for me? In my education, I was basically sitting in a classroom all the way through college, wanting to be somewhere else, wanting to be somewhere where I could be creative and be a visionary. And instead I had to sit with a note and watch a chalkboard. We didn't have whiteboards at the time. And so I want kids to have access to different types of education. And I want the resources to be put into the right people. There's a lot of shame around education today. If your kid doesn't go to college, you have to feel shame. You have to put shame on your kid. Why don't we find out what these kids want and give it to them before they get out of high school, so they don't all have to waste a year or 2 or 4 years and 100 or 200 or 500 grand at a higher learning institution, when some of that money could go to a child who can't get that resource. Let's change the way we do it. We don't have to revamp the whole thing and throw it away. Of course, higher education is valuable. Of course, college degrees are valuable. But when my oldest son got his last job for Datto, it said college degree or equivalent life experience.
Yeah.
Now that is a company that I want to work for.
Yeah, it's becoming a little bit more available out there.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
I'm super excited working with you because I know you got the right attitude, and that's half the battle, right? Just making sure that people understand that education is not just dates, facts, and figures, right? It's a little bit more than that, and that's a big part of the deal. I love when you were talking about the education you were receiving from being a part of the dental practice, because a big part of learning as you're growing is seeing the behaviors modeled, right? And so that's a big challenge in families, areas, places where those models aren't as present, aren't as available, where kids are growing up where, the family hasn't had a chance to become stable, doesn't have a stable family to provide some of those pieces. I grew up in a single parent home. I don't know how I would raise my kids if my wife wasn't a partner in this with me, through no fault of a lot of people's. I have students that have come through the program, A. Philip Randolph Campus High School. I stayed in touch with them. I'm now in touch with their spouses of that student that's passed away after they've had kids. There are things that, whatever your views on society, there's so many challenges, so many things that people are dealing with. So to have resources for young people in particular, but people in general. It's such a big deal to see these behaviors, to give people an opportunity to see these things. I know that you're doing that, part of what we're doing today. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Rick. I want to make sure people are connecting with you. Website, the book link, The Currency of Connection. It's down below on LinkedIn if you're there, or on YouTube. I'm sorry, if you're there off to the side on Facebook. Please let people know how to get in touch with you. Obviously, those connections are there, but I want to give you the chance to say it before we play the Biz Dev theme.
Yeah,
and I just want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to go back and look at all the messages after. First of all, Cameron, thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the pivot of the year. I think everyone agrees that your pivot, if not the best, is one of the best, because from what you did to who you are now, and we love this side of you. We love this personality. We love this show. We love that, everything that you're bringing. You're giving so many people a voice, and you're basically uncovering, cultivating, and then celebrating our gifts, so that you can then do the same in your own life. So I first want to thank you, brother, for doing this, and just keep doing it. You're an awesome host. You do your homework, you bring it, and I'm so proud to call you a friend and brother.
Oh, thank you, man.
Getting in touch with me. Go to Gabrielly.com, Gabrielly. You know what? What's fun also is go to the internet, go to Google and search Rick Gabrielly, and you'll find a lot of the stuff that we talked about here today. So what's really fun about it is when you do plant a lot of seeds, and Google is kind of like a big field, you can go and you can see all those little plants, that I'm growing and watering every day. And, so much of the stuff that I did, I don't do anymore. But
Rick, I gotta say, what you just said is so big. People aren't all gonna hear that message, but what you said is so big right there. I feel it's worth repeating. If you would say that one more time, because people can go and Google your name and you will pop up. I've been able, through producing so much content on YouTube. If you go onto YouTube and you search Biz Dev Live, you're going to see a whole lot of me pop up. So what you said is huge. Say that one more time. Yeah.
So if you want to go and find out, what I've done, just go to Google and search Rick Gabrielly, and you'll find out all the things I've done, probably over the past, maybe 20 years. And, it's all in there. So, the good news is it's like a big field. You plant those seeds and you have all those plants pop up, and, some of the stuff I don't do anymore, but, it's all there for you to check out. And hopefully that will draw you in. And, listen, I'm here to educate. I'm here to support. I'm here to bring love and change the way, we live our lives at work and at home.
Beautiful. Go buy the book, everybody. Rick, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, folks. I love you guys. Thanks, Cam.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron